الله ربنا هو الإله، له من الأسماء ما اصطفاه، الواحد الحي كذا المليك، والملك المالك لا شريك. الله ربنا هو الإله، له من الأسماء ما اصطفاه، الواحد الحي كذا المليك.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In our discussion about the spiritual journey of Hajj, as an introduction, we said that the ayah in the Quran which mandates the trip of Hajj in Surah Al-Imran is introduced by the power of God who has created the universe and the heavens and the earth. So the ayah says, أَفَغَيْرَ اللَّهِ أَفَغَيْرَ دِينِ اللَّهِ يَبْغُونَ. Do they turn to any deen and lifestyle and laws other than that of God? وَلَهُ أَسْلَمَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Whereas the Creator and the majestic Lord of the heavens and the earth is Allah, to whom everything submits. And then towards this Allah we have a duty. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. This Master of the universe has invited us to get closer to Him through this spiritual journey of Hajj. So the Master of the universe is inviting us to make a once-in-a-lifetime trip to a place designated as His holy house. It is sacred for different reasons. The earth on which it is built, the components of which it is built, they're all unique. The miracles that have appeared there are all exceptional. And therefore it becomes the focus on the earth of a heavenly power, heavenly grace, heavenly mercy. So this becomes the means through which and the channel through which we get closer to God around the Kaaba. In this ayah of Surah Al-Imran, Allah declares that it is not wajib for everyone to undertake this trip, only those who have the necessary means. We shall discuss the details of these necessary means. And once those means have been ascertained and they apply to an individual, then they must begin to prepare immediately. And one of the preparations we said was to determine who is the expert whom we are going to follow. If we were alive in the time of the Holy Prophet or the Holy Imams, we would have done it in their presence or with their guidance. In their absence, we do it with the guidance of the experts and the mujtahids, the scholars who have studied the riwayat, the verses, and have extracted the principles of Hajj based on their expert opinion. So Hajj becomes wajib once in a lifetime when someone is capable. In order to appreciate the Master of the universe and His majestic power, one way is to remind ourselves, this is it's not a true picture, it's a composite picture of the different stars which are visible in the night sky, and the concentration, the white band, is known as the Milky Way. These stars resemble our sun. Some of them are larger than our sun as a star. In fact, some of these points that you see on closer scrutiny, each one of them is a collection of stars. Sometimes one little twinkling light that is observed in fact, in itself is a galaxy which contains millions or hundreds of millions of stars, each one like our sun or bigger than the sun. This vast universe, whose size is difficult to imagine, it's mind-boggling. وَلَهُ أَسْلَمَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Whosoever and whatsoever is in the heavens and the earth is in total submission to the absolute majestic power of the Lord. This is the Lord who is now inviting us. There are some who hear this call and respond. There are others who don't hear this call. They don't see the truth. So the Quran warns in Surah Bani Israel, ayah number 72, وَمَنْ كَانَ فِي هَذِهِ أَعْمَى. Whosoever is blind here in this earthly life, فَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ أَعْمَى. And so also he will be blind in the hereafter. In fact, وَأَضَلَّ سَبِيلًا. And he will be even more deviated from the straight path. Obviously, this blindness in the dunya is not physical blindness. It is the spiritual blindness, the inability to see the truth or to understand the truth or to be willing enough to follow the truth after having received it and understood it. And in the tafsir of this ayah, the Imam alayhi salam says that the blind person is the one يُسَوِّفُ نَفْسَهُ الْحَجَّ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَهُ الْمَوْتِ. The one who knows Hajj has become wajib on him, yet he keeps on postponing. I will travel next year, in the next couple of years, next decade. He keeps on postponing till death suddenly and unexpectedly visits him. This person has been designated to be blind to the truth. So the fact that every human being has been created in such a way that there is the inner natural yearning to seek truth and goodness and purity and perfection and beauty. Wherever we see it, we're attracted. But the one we should be truly attracted to is not the physical limited beauty and perfection of the earth. We should be attracted to the absolute unlimited purity and perfection and beauty of the majestic Lord of the universe. This natural attraction that we have, some of them unfortunately become blind and fail to actualize this God-given potential, and therefore they don't go for Hajj, or they don't listen to the call and the invitation for Hajj. In the preparation for Hajj, after accepting the basic requirement to follow the expert's opinion about how to do Hajj according to the seerah of the Imams and the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we now need to consider a little more in detail what are the means that enable us and make us capable of going for Hajj. Hajj is not wajib on everyone. So there are 4 requirements. Number 1 is capability as far as our health is concerned, physical ability. Notice that this rule is the same even for other ibadah. We must be physical able to perform salah, for example. Otherwise, we need to sit down and pray or lie down and pray. Sawm, if we're sick, it is not wajib. Wudu, if water is going to harm us, then we are supposed to do tayammum. Likewise, Hajj, physical ability and health should allow the person to be able to perform the Hajj. Otherwise, it is not wajib, he is not capable. The second requirement of capability is wealth, to have the financial means. Just like other ibadat which are based on finances. Zakat, for example, the wajib zakat is not compulsory on a person who is not earning enough to have savings and to be able to pay the expenses of his own and his dependents. The third requirement for a person to qualify to go for Hajj and capability to be established is the path should be open. There should be no restrictions for the person to travel. So it should not be difficult for him, let's say, to get a visa. There should be no security or safety problems in traveling for Hajj. There should be enough time available for him to go for Hajj. The path should be open. Just like in the Salatul Jumu'ah, for example, a person who stays far away and it's difficult terrain for him to travel to come for Jumu'ah, not wajib. Person is elderly, not able to travel, not wajib to attend Jumu'ah. It's raining, difficult to traverse the path during rain, not wajib to attend Jumu'ah. Likewise for Hajj, the path restrictions and limitations should not be there. The fourth requirement for capability, according to the mujtahids, is that we should have enough means, financial means, that once we travel and have the expenses for traveling, once we return back to our hometown, we should have enough means to restart and to continue our daily life in dignity. Not that we have to undergo the indignity of going to beg for our expenses. So let's look a little more into details about the capability, the physical capability, and that is health. If a person is unable to travel for Hajj, either because of sickness or because of weakness, because of old age, let's say, or is unable, he's able to travel with some difficulty or inconvenience, but once he's there in the Holy Lands, he's unable to stay for a prolonged period of time in the different places, because Hajj is not a ritual of a few hours. It takes definitely minimum a few days to a week, minimum. So if he's unable to stay there, and let's say the season is very hot and the extreme heat is unbearable, or no, he is able to travel, but it is with great difficulty for whatever reason, and that difficulty is unbearable, then it's not wajib to go for Hajj. However, if he has the financial means but not the physical ability, then the duty still remains that they have to perform Hajj. And this is one of those unique ibadah where if you personally cannot perform it, but you have the financial means, then you must appoint and delegate the duty to somebody else to go and perform the Hajj on your behalf. However, before you delegate the duty to somebody else and sponsor somebody else to do Hajj on your behalf because of your physical inability, there is one important condition to take into account, and that is you are physically unable now. But is it possible, are you hopeful realistically that sometime in the near future you will be able to recover and be able to go and perform the Hajj? So if there is hope later on that he would be able to do so with no great difficulty, inconvenience is part of the Hajj, no problem, great difficulty, that you will be able to do it later on, there is hope, then definitely you should wait till that time and then go for Hajj. No, there's no hope. The doctor has diagnosed the condition to be such that this sickness or disability or disease is going to be continuous or, God forbid, progressive, and it'll get worse. You won't recover and become better. No problem. In that case, then it is wajib to appoint someone to go for Hajj. When should this sponsored agent go and do Hajj on behalf of the disabled person? Does he have a choice to decide in the next few years? No. Just like if when the other capability means become established and they are actualized, it becomes wajib to go for Hajj immediately. So also it becomes wajib to appoint someone to go for Hajj immediately if one is not hopeful of recovering in the near future. The second requirement of capability is if a person is healthy, you have to check whether the person is wealthy enough to be able to finance the Hajj, meaning that you have enough expenses to pay for the travel and the accommodation and the lodging and the boarding during this trip. And also enough expenses such that you will be able to pay off your dues or debts that you may have to other people or even to God in the form of khums, for example, or wajib zakat, for example. So if there's an outstanding debt, not wajib to go for Hajj. If by paying off that debt, one cannot therefore have enough expenses for Hajj. We'll discuss this a little more in detail. And once a person is healthy and a person is wealthy enough expenses to go, enough expenses once he comes back, enough expenses to pay for the dependents in his absence. The dependents cannot become needy and desperate and have to beg for their daily necessities. The person should leave behind enough for them. If a person is wealthy enough, then still Hajj cannot become wajib because sometimes there are other constraints, there are other priorities, other wajib duties which are equal to Hajj or even more important than Hajj. We'll discuss that later on. So wealth is important. If a person has been earning and saving and depositing and investing and has different assets, but he doesn't have a clear idea what is the total value of his assets, definitely Masael number 37 says that it is wajib to go and check and assess and calculate if the total value of the extra assets which are not required for the daily use or monthly use, if those assets are enough to finance the Hajj trip or not. So Hajj becomes wajib only if those means are available. But what if a person says, I have just enough of assets and savings, but little is remaining? Is it now wajib in the remaining weeks or months before the Hajj that I must put in extra effort to earn more? No, it is not wajib. If at the time of Hajj you have already earned and you have already saved, then yes. But if you don't have it, you don't have to work extra. However, if somebody works extra, that's his wish, but it's not wajib to work extra to make Hajj wajib. If a person is a professional or a tradesperson and fortunately good fortune strikes him and he earns extra and is enough savings for himself and for his family, then definitely the person should go for Hajj. Just because he had an extra fortune, suddenly that doesn't make him exempt from Hajj because he says, well, I didn't earn it by my efforts. This is beyond my expectation. Doesn't matter. Now you have enough for yourself and for your family. Should we beg or borrow or purchase by selling off our extra assets? If a person has borrowed an amount, then Hazrat Adil Sistani says, no, on a borrowed amount, Hajj doesn't become wajib. But Marhum Ayatullah Khoy says, no, if you have borrowed and if it's not very difficult for you to pay off, it's easy to pay off, then definitely pay off and you go for Hajj. What if I have extra assets, but the market value has fallen down? I was waiting for the market value to increase so that I can sell off my stock or my assets and get enough profit. If the price fall is not too much, such that it would be foolish to sell off at, let's say, 50% less than the market value from which you bought, if it is a small risk amount, reasonable risk amount, no problem. You must sell it off and go for Hajj. What am I required to sell off to earn this extra money? What if the year in which I wish to travel, suddenly the prices have been hiked for whatever reason? No, even if it's an extra amount that you need to pay, if you have the means, pay it if it's affordable by you, you should not delay it till the next year, hoping and expecting the prices will fall. What if women have extra collection of jewelry which they are not using for their annual utility, so it's not being used for ceremonies, for let's say birth anniversary of the Masumin, for Eid or for happy occasions. Ladies of that particular status and economic class in society are supposed to be wearing particular type of jewelry. If they don't wear it, they are considered, they are degraded, or they are looked down upon in society. So there's a decent amount of jewelry which is required for them to maintain their dignity. But no, they've got extra. And this extra they've gotten as gifts, or no, they've made savings, or they've made purchases. If that is extra and that can be sold off and it doesn't affect their dignity in society and deprive them of the opportunity to use when necessary, then yes, they must sell it off. If they need them, no, it's not wajib to sell it off. If they don't need it, yes, they must sell it off and go for Hajj. What if a person is staying in ownership property, but he can shift to a rented property? Should he sell off that property and shift to a rented place or not? It depends. If to stay in a rented place in that particular society is counted as dignified, there's no problem, people don't look down upon you that you don't own a house, no problem. Sell off that ownership house, shift to a rented place. And if it's not difficult to find a rented place and not difficult to sell off that ownership property. If a person is in debt, you must first pay off that debt. If after paying off you have still enough money, then Hajj becomes wajib. What if you are not in debt, you have credited, you have lent some money to a borrower? If you can recover from the borrower, you must recover if the time is due. You must do so if it's possible. If it's not possible, there is difficulty involved, it depends. If the difficulty is such that you need to take the person to court, you can do so. So, if the date is due for the borrower to pay back to you, the lender, go and demand for it. And number two, if the borrower is delaying, pressurize him, persuade him, remind him again and again. If he is refusing to pay, then you don't need to hire thugs to go and threaten him with his life. No, you don't use illegal haram way to get back your rights. Take him, if there is a Sharia court, beautiful. If you can invoke the influence of a greater authority in your own community, beautiful. If nothing is possible, in your own religious community, you can't find somebody of authority to be able to influence this borrower to pay back, no problem. You can take him to the secular court to force him to pay. If, however, the money that you lend, the date is not due as yet, then no, it's not wajib to go and seek. However, you know the borrower is earning good enough right now. So you can go and request that, though the time is not up, but I would like you to pay if possible. You know if you demand it, he will pay, go and ask for it. However, if the borrower is not earning enough, or he has got more expenses and therefore he cannot pay at this time, or no, you cannot be pressurized and forced by dragging him to court to pay, then no, definitely you can't solve this problem. There's one solution whereby you can sell off your debt, find another lender and transfer your loan to him. So this new lender pays you the amount, and now the borrower is indebted to that second lender. If you can find such a second lender, you must do so and recover your money to go for Hajj. So from whatever means, halal means, you have earned, either by savings or by selling or by recovering, from whatever means. You have gotten the financial means to go for Hajj, then between the time of getting the amount and the date of Hajj, in that interim period, you can't use this money off for something else. It's haram. You must save it now for the sake of Hajj. Otherwise, you will be sinful. Basically, all the mujtahids, they prohibit and make it haram to misuse Hajj funds for anything other than Hajj, unless of course it's an unavoidable emergency. So definitely it is wajib to save till the Hajj season. I have reached almost the end of my time, so I will take a break here if there are any questions.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ونستغفره ونتوب إليه نصلي ونسلم إلى حبيبنا وشفيعنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعنجل فرجهم أجمعين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. زين. زيارة إلى بيت العتيق ni ziara ila Baitil Lahi. Last week tulisema ya kwamba kudieleza ana fulanun ismi Aliyun masalan, ismi Fatimatun masalan. Sasa al-yawm, today, al-yawm, for example, al-yawm yawmu thulathai, kwa sababu yawmul ithnaini tayari usiku Kiarabu. Kweli tungekuwa asubuhi hadi sasa hivi ni yawmul ithnaini, lakini tunaingia kesho al-yawmu yawmu ithnaini, Monday. Sasa tomorrow ni yawmul thulathai. Sasa tomorrow tutasema vipi? Ghadan, ghadan, ghadan. Yesterday tutasema nini? Amsi, amsi. Kule Saudia utasema uridu, I want, nataka, uridu. Dhihaba, I want to go haram, uridu dhihaba ila haram. I repeat, uridu. Fatima takul, anasema Fatima, au Ali anasema ana uridu dhihaba ila haram. Sawa? Sasa utamuuliza madha turidu, what do you want? Madha turidu. Sasa hapo Kiarabu kinamlenga mwanamme. Asa huku utamwambia madha turidina, madha turidina. Masalan, anasema mimi nataka chakula, uridu tuama, uridu tuama, nataka chakula. Au madi uridu al-maa, uridu maa, ota. Sasa nasema adhhabu, ana adhhabu, I go. Adhhabu qarib, adhhabu qarib, karibu. Adhhabu ba'id, ba'id ni mbali. Utasema mata, mata tadhhabu, mata tadhhabu, lini utaenda, lini utaenda. Ya Ali, ya akhi, mata tadhhabu ila haram. Example. Hasa utamtizama ukhti Fatima, utamwambia ya Fatima, mata tadhhabina, mata tadhhabina ila al-haram. Masalan, utasema adhhabu, nitaenda usiku, adhhabu fi laili, kwa sababu magari kule haram, hoteli mtakayekaa na haram kuna mbali, gari zinakuwa zinaondoka usiku. Haya, dereva ni Kiarabu full, utasema adhhabu fi laili, nitaenda usiku, lail, usiku. Au adhhabu sabahan, sabahan, morning, tenda asubuhi. Sa ukitaka sasa kumwambia mtu unipe, unipe, a'tini, a'tini, nipe. Sasa Waarabu wanakuambia jib li, jib li, a'tini. Sasa kama unamuomba address, anwan, a'tini unwanak, unwanak, address, au unwanaki kwa Fatima mathalan, unwanaka kwa Ali. Sasa utasema pasipoti yangu iko kwenye begi, pasipoti jawazu safari, jawazi safar, pasipoti yangu, jawazu safari, passport. Mtafika kule uwanja wa ndege, polisi wako pale, jib jawazu kisafar, jib jawazu safar, leta pasipoti yako, jawazu safar. Tasema khuz, khuz, chukua, khuz, jawaz, hadha jawaz, hii hadha, hii jawaz, chukua. Asa utauliza begi langu liko wapi? Aina hakibati, begi langu liko wapi? Aina hakibati. Sababu mabegi yako mengi, Sheikh ameshaondoka, Muhammad Jaafar kashaondoka, wewe umebaki peke yako, unatafuta begi. mashaallah, aina hakibati. Watenda hadhihi ni hili, naam, hadhihi hakibati, utasema hii ni begi langu, hadhihi hakibati. Lazima umpe shukran, shukran lak, shukran laki, kama ni dada alikusaidia. Haya, sasa unataka kuingia nyumba, hoteli, kwa eneo umelala, sasa lazima kufungulie mlango, nagonga, ya akhi, ya Allah, ya Allah, iftah li baban, iftah li baban, iftah li, nifungulie mimi mlango. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bika, Kiingereza welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bika. Sasa utakuta kule kuna milango miwili, wanaandika babu dukhuli usije kuingia wewe mlango wa kutoka wanaandika babu dukhuli. Utauliza aina babu dukhuli, wapi mlango wa kuingia? Aina babu dukhuli, watakwambia hadha, hadha ni huu, au hunaka ni kule, hunaka kule. Kiingia unataka kutoka, babu khuruji. Sawa, usije kugonga mwa babu khuruji, kisha toka, alhamdulillah. Hasa utasema nataka kwenda sokoni, uridu dhihab ila suqi, uridu dhihaba ila suqi. Gari umelistopisha kwa sababu sio kila siku Bwana Muhammad Jafar atawapa gari muende soko. Lazima taxi iko pale. Sawa, wachache wanaongea English, lakini wewe jitahidi umwambie kif. Unaenda pale unakuta gari taxi imeandika kif, kumwambia kif ni stop. Kif ya akhi, tusilni, tusilni, nifikishe mimi, tusilni ila funduki, hotel, tusilni ila suqi, bikam ujra, malipo ni ngapi? Bikam ujra, ujratu naqli inaitwa, lakini utasema tu kifupi bikam ujra, min huna ila hunaka, min huna toka hapa, ila hunaka kam. Basi atakwambia kima malipo kwa English, masalan 100 riyali au 200, 100 riyali, 200. Afadhali 100 ni kama vile Kiswahili 100 200 ni kama vile Kiswahili 200, 200. Akitamka 100 basi. Sasa ukishafika kule utasema huna kif, stop, anzil huna, nateremuka hapa, anzil huna ya saiq, kwa sababu dereva kwa Arabi tunamwita nani? Saiqu, saiqu, ya saiqu kif, anzil huna, wasaltu, wasaltu, nimefika, ujratun kam, atakwambia 100, khuz au tafaddal, kwa kumpe tafaddal, yeye atachukua shukran laka, namwambia fi amani Allah, au ila liqa, tutakutana labda kesho atakusaidia tena na gari, ila liqai fi amani Allah, naye anaondoka. Sasa kule sokoni, sasa aina dukani libasi, aina dukani malabisi, duka la nguo liko wapi? Dukanil malabisi, utaingia kule. Hadha libasu, nguo, libasu, hadha libas, bikam, utasema bikam, ngapi, bei ngapi, bikam masalan. Au wengine wanaandika bei pale, wanaandika bei. Hasa utasema khafif, takhfif ni nini? Apunguze bei, fa atapunguza bei. Tasema ana uridu hadha libas, uridu hadha libasa, nataka, uridu hadha libasa, nataka hii nguo. Haya, sasa huenda kina baba anataka nini? Telefone kwa Kiarabu naye ni telefoni, lakini ukisema hatif sawa, hatif sawa, lakini inayotumika sana ni hiyo telefoni. Haya, ukitaka saa, alhamdulillah, kwa Kiarabu ni sa'atun, uridu hadhihi sa'ata. Kiswahili ndio ni saa, uridu hadhihi sa'ata. Haya, kama unataka kamis, uridu kamisa. Hapo Kiswahili kinacheza kama Arabic. Uridu kamiswa. Asa kiatu, uridu hidhaa, Asa kama unaenda unataka sabuni, Kiswahili sabuni, Kiarabu ni swabuni. Uridu swabuni. Mashallah, ila huna naktafi inshallah. Tutastopishia hapo kwa sababu muda nao ni mchache tuliopata. Inshallah muwe makini sana. Kesho tutaendelea kusoma mengine kama vile kwenye tawafu, kwenye sa'i. Inshallah, mtu nataka kuenda kwenye tawafu utasema vipi? Mtu nenda kwenye sa'i utasema vipi? Sheikh mwenyewe alhamdulillah tayasema, lakini ni Arabic. Tutasaidiana inshallah. Wa akhir kalami anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.